Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and hello and welcome to the first episode of Fireside Chat with UKPSTP, a show where we discuss and share our honest insights and concerning topics related to mental well-being and mental health and the impact on teachers' mental well-being as well. Mental well-being has been an increasing talking point in the last few years, more so now due to COVID-19. The purpose of this show is to simply have more discussions surrounding mental well-being and mental health, and hopefully make a positive impact or help those of you listening who may be struggling or know someone who is. In today's episode, we will be starting off with the topic of talking about mental well-being. And I'm joined by two esteemed guests, Chigo ZulF to my left, and then Chigo Ahmad Faisal to my right. Gentlemen, I would like to invite you to introduce yourselves. Let's start with Chigo Zul. Could you introduce who you are, your field of work, and why or how mental well-being is of interest to you? Take it away.
Okay, first of all, Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good morning to both of you. My name is Haji Zul Fakhri bin Muqsin. A lot of people know me by the name ZulF. I am a lecturer at Polytechnic Brunei. I've been teaching for about 16 years now, and I'm teaching communication skills here. And why I'm very much interested in this whole aspect of well-being is the fact that I think I was going through a really weird phase when I hit 30, and that was when I started actually looking into self-help books, and I kind of helped myself in a lot of ways, and that led me to I wanted to do a PhD, and I'm a PhD candidate now, and I've become obsessed with this aspect of well-being, mental well-being, and of course emotional intelligence, and that's how I got into this field, if you like. Yeah. So yeah.
Okay, thank you, Chigo Zul. Chigo Ahmad.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. My name is Ahmad Faisal bin Haji Zanaudin. I'm actually currently a lecturer by post. I'm currently as actually head of the unit Kesejahteraan Pemimpin Sekolah and Tenaga Pengajar. I think the reason being my existence in this actually in this profession, especially because me myself, my background is a mental health nurse. I'm actually kind of a nurse educator, and then my patience towards mental health has been there since I was kind of in school. So this is kind of like a really important aspect in life, of which that if you're not able to look after yourself mentally or mentally well-being, that will affect somehow all sort of things about yourself as a human being. It's affect physically, as you all know. So what triggers me to become a mental health advocate is basically to see is all kind of like triggered when I encountered a person with a special kind of like condition, which is mental health clients, because basically people say that mental health clients, they are dangerous, but in fact they're human being, things that kind of like a normal person not able to understand them, because is that this is where we have a gap between a normal person and those person who actually suffering from mental health issues. So that actually is kind of like a trigger or challenge. If you're able to talk with them, so that means you have a very good chance to talk with those who are not in this actually kind of like in the real world. So it helps with your communication somehow. So that is why up till now, um, people with mental health issues or having like challenges in with mental health, these are the challenges that will actually place on the unit, and then this is part of the and parcel that what we can actually contribute, so that especially for teachers who having this, part of our contribution to make them balance. That's is actually my kind of like passion somehow, not just being an educator, but personally being as what you call as a helper, empathic helper in a way. Yeah, that's it.
So it goes without saying, it has been a difficult couple of years with the lockdowns and COVID and being scared of COVID. One of the simplest things you can do right now for someone you care about is to ask them how they are. So Chiguzol, how are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm well. I'm quite healthy and I'm very happy actually. But I think the term happy, it's a bit overrated because, emotions are like fleeting clouds, right? One minute it's there, 1 minute it's gone. So I think the most important thing is to just to echo what Chigu Ahmad said, to strike that balance, that equilibrium, and we need that. It's a constant struggle, what I'm trying to say here. So you have to stay positive, stay hopeful, which I am. And it's very important because if we don't have this sense of optimism in us, that's going to affect different aspects of our lives, and yeah, just to answer you straight, I'm good.
Thank you. And Chigo Ahmad, how have you been?
Oh yeah, Alhamdulillah. How have I been? Well, surviving, and basically that's I know that actually challenges ahead of us, but hey, you have to face the challenges. By the way, whether you like it or not, so you can't get away with it. So basically, you just immerse with it, stay positive, and then, well, just do your best and see from there. Being positive, you will see the result positive in the end. You know that challenges is everywhere on your sides. It's just like a journey. You have ups and downs. Well, you always look at ups all the time, but don't forget the down as well, because the down will bring you up, by the way. So I'm good.
All right, thank you, Chigo Ahmad. On that note, I think it's good for us to start off with our first discussion topic. Let's start with Chigo Ahmad. The importance of taking care of your mental well-being. Chigo, why do you think it's very important to take care of yourself?
Well, the question will be asked back to everyone. It's just like your own body. Do you love your own body? If you love your own body, you need to find ways. You need to find ways to ensure that your body works in harmony. There's no use that you actually work, exercise every day, but your mental health so deep down. So it's basically you have to have a good balance, meaning to say balance of physical and mental health. But I believe this mental well-being is, though kind of like people see it kind of like hidden, kind of like it's a small matter, but somehow it will create or it will impact on that person in a bigger sense. If you see, all the mental health is existed in our part, the upper part of our head is inside. But you can see how important it is, because once you have your mind is clouded, your mind is not there. Basically, you're all, if I see myself um, feeling negative all the time, and then I cannot take it anymore, this will affect my physical being. So in a true sense, keep up with your mental health will somehow affect your physical being. Because a lot of studies say, a lot of, in other words, a lot of study actually mentioned that, if you're not in your true self mentally, parts of your life or parts of being physically will be affected. One classic example is we don't have say everyone actually have been through in a stress situation. You act normally, that will affect your behavior, isn't it? So how important it is in your mental health is always be there. So me myself, everyone have been through kind of like the real challenges in life. But as time goes by, if you age naturally, this will help you. But don't don't start when you get older. Start now. Think about now. Now, you start now. Think about the future. Your past is just your reference, but don't take that as as a real sense of it affect you. So, what people say, belajar dari pengalaman yang dihadapi. So this will make you even more mature. So I believe me myself, I've been through that, and then everyone is really ups and downs. So mental health, I would see, is really important, not just for yourself, because it can actually spread. If you're being positive, that positive aura will spread to everyone. If you start being positive in the morning, you'll be positive all the way. So see how things actually influence all sorts of things. So it's really important, Hafiz.
All right, thank you, Chigo Ahmad. So as you said, most people think talking about mental health is a small matter, but as you said, it's much more important than that. Chigo Zul, as a fellow educator yourself, being an educator is a tough and stressful job, and not many people realize it. How much harder is it for you to take care of your mental well-being as an educator?
The thing is, right, a lot of, majority of teachers out there, this is what I noticed, like this is based on my observation. They see things as stressful. Like I remember reading this journal article where, just mentioning the word stress can make you feel stressed, right? And there's two types of stress. Like one is distress, another one is eustress, which is the good stress. And if we were to sort of change our mindset and see stress as pressure as opposed to stress itself, you will not get distressed. Like what Chigu Ahmad said, being positive is very important. I know we are bombarded by a lot of stuff, especially like things that revolve around teaching, or lesson planning that can be quite stressful for a lot of people, or teaching itself, or dealing with the administration or other stakeholders, and of course your students, right? So I think it's very important to sort of retrain our mind and see things differently. It's all about perspective, really. Like for myself, on a personal note, I'm not just teaching. I'm also an artist. I'm a part-time radio DJ. I'm studying at the moment. I do acting here and there. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm doing a lot of things, but then I teach myself to enjoy what I do. I think it all comes down to passion, really. And teaching is not an easy job. If you don't have the passion for it, then your heart is not there. That's why I think a lot of people get really stressed easily, because they don't enjoy it. Like, I see my time in my classroom as playtime, to be honest with you, because I enjoy it. And that shows in how my students respond to my teaching. So it's really, really very important. And when you asked Chigo Ahmad just now, why is it important, right? Mental well-being, it's super duper important. And if you don't take care of your mental health, there's no well-being there. And also, I would like to stretch that further. I think it's not just about mental well-being, it's all about holistic well-being, because we're talking about the sum of all different dimensions, because human beings are pretty dynamic in nature, right? So we're talking about mental well-being, we're talking about emotional well-being, physical well-being, and of course, spiritual well-being, which is very often neglected among people these days. So like the combination of all four dimensions there, I think you'll experience eudaimonia, right? Well-being, that sense of not just happiness, but the quality of your life, just everything. It encapsulates everything.
All right, Chiguzol, yep. So you mentioned the importance of holistic well-being, and then paying more attention of everything as a whole. The pandemic, again, not to sound like a broken record, but the pandemic has been really difficult for a lot of people, and being cooped up and locked down in the walls of your home can be very challenging to people who strive for social connectedness, just being in the presence of your friends and family. Why do you think it is important more now than ever that we talk about mental well-being, mental health, and then just as you said, just taking care of your general self? Why is it more important now than ever, Chibuzo?
Well, why not, right? I mean, whatever is happening right now, this is the result of emotional neglect from our previous generations, if you think about it. And I remember reading this a statement that says, mental health issues, these are diseases of the modern world. It's an epidemic, almost. And this is what we are experiencing. And it shouldn't be, how do I say this? We should be talking about this. It should be part of our dialogue, our conversation, because, people have different experiences. Experience is subjective, right? I mean, I come from a different background. I've got my own experiences. I have my own beliefs. I've got my own values, and things like that, and we can't sort of make it uniform. Like, different people, like I said, have different experiences, and we are all multifaceted, right? So this is the reason why it's so important for people to talk about this and address this and not make fun of it. Because I remember, growing up, that was back in the 80s, like, people would make fun of people who are having mental health issues. I remember them saying, hey, orang wat lima ni, orang wat lima, which is like, it's not nice, you see. And that becomes prevalent. And this is the reason why I think people discriminate people who have mental health issues. Or even people who have mental health issues, they don't really understand themselves, right? They don't understand the emotions that they're experiencing. And some people even misdiagnose themselves, which is quite dangerous if you think about it. Especially young people these days, they feel something, they think they feel something, and then they look it up, they Google it up, and then they self-diagnose, which is I think it's not right. That's why it's important for us to educate people, the public, and of course teachers. You know, because if we are not good, how can we function in class, at, at work? It makes us dysfunctional. Really, it debilitates people, right? So.
All right, thank you, Giselle. You mentioned a few interesting points there. You mentioned the funny metaphor that we have here in Brunei of what lima.
Yeah.
It's a very comical stigma, but at the same time, the roots of that joke is dark and it's very negative. Chigo Ahmad, maybe especially for teachers, there seems to be a stigma in discussing about mental well-being struggles. Maybe not teachers, maybe everyone in general. So not just discussing it, let alone admitting that you have any. Why do you think this is so? And then just echoing what Chiguzo said, why is it important for people to talk about it and not just misdiagnose yourself with things that can go horribly wrong?
Right. Well, to start off with, basically, what lima, orang gila, this all carries, especially what lima. I don't know where it actually exists. Is this because of from the movie? Well, I'm not really sure about it, but the way how the intonation of people will say that, are you from what lima? So it's basically kind of it carries very negative connotations. And as well as gila, people tend to say orang gila. So it devalues that person somehow. So this kind of like what you call this a social heritage, a negative social heritage from the past is carried forward now in nowadays is still there. It's kind of like the culture of us, talking about people with mental illness, gila. And then this kind of like is having a like ripple effect to everyone generally, and then especially for teachers who themselves kind of like experience these mental health issues. So that will be one of the reasons why they not, dare to admit themselves that they have mental health issues, because it might be kind of like a brand people will give to them, not only the public or even from the fellow teachers, because in realistically, Bruneians really care for others, but sometimes the way how we show care put in a wrong in a wrong way of doing things. So that sort of things somehow affect or influence or impact to that person who themselves suffering from. They feel that, oh, if I disclose myself to 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 my fellow teachers, I might get this stigma or I might get be branded then. So this will somehow um, act as a negative way of, um, I just try to hide it. Well, people, we are so good with bottling up, but at the end of the day, I don't want people to know about my issue, because if they know about my issue, this will be, people will know. Brunei is small, but okay, there's a but there. If you hide it, the impact in you is far more worse, rather than, you try to actually find ways or find solutions. If you can't find solutions yourself, try and get help. That's the good thing nowadays. We are now moving quite in a steady pace, that people now realize that it's important for us to look after our own mental health. But if we are not able to put down these stigma issues, the issue of people come forward won't be as, as proactive as we all expected. So we need to identify these issues, these hidden issues. I think everyone knows this kind of like is a popular topic. People say that, oh, stigma, people with mental health with stigma. But how can we do? What can we do to help that? What can we do to erase this thing? Especially, this is kind of like holistic approach. People only then realize if this thing works well, only then they will, oh, okay, I will gonna try that because he does that and then he did that and then it's a success, only then I come forward. Don't wait till that to happen. Be more proactive because this you're talking about yourself. You're talking about yourself, especially teachers. You are the frontliners. If you're not yourself up, up to the, basically, we are just kind of like batteries, We are like batteries. Sometimes we have actually down, need to recharge, and then we are full shooting, full battery. But for those teachers who are having issues with their mental health, try to find ways to get seek help. Nowadays in Brunei, they are kind of like mushrooms of what you call this helpline 145, and then basically everywhere now trying to support each other. But use this platform, okay, and then try to find ways. Okay, if people think that I'm mad, orang gila, so be it. By the end of the day, it's just you. I respect your opinion, but your opinion might not be the same with my own opinion. It's your belief system, but I have my own belief system. So these sort of thoughts somehow will help them. Don't think about others. So be it. Membawang lah. But at the end of the day, you talk about your own being. So to all teachers, I know you all there struggle. We all struggle with life, but don't be shy or don't be afraid to seek help because we are on the same kind of like same boat. Okay.
All right, thank you, Chigo Ahmad. Chigo Zul, I want to go back to what Chigo Ahmad and then yourself mentioned previously. Showing care for others. As a colleague and as someone who probably knows someone else who struggles with mental health, how do you think? What do you think is the most appropriate way for someone to show care to others in terms of support? As Chigo Ahmad said, that maybe culturally we do care, but our methods may not be the most appropriate. In your opinion, what do you think is the simplest, maybe the most effective way for yourself to care for others in terms of mental well-being, mental health?
Okay, thank you. I think the word here is empathy, right? It's like a buzzword, but then not a lot of people really understand what it means. According to the literature, there's 3 types of empathy. One is cognitive empathy. That means like somebody's suffering. The second one is affective empathy. That's when you understand what people are going through, the struggles. And the third one is compassionate empathy. This is when you put the 2 types of empathy together. You know that they're suffering, you understand their situation, and you want to help them. And as a Muslim community, we are, the ground is fertile for us to actually reach out to people and help them. this is where we show kindness, not just empathy, and then compassion. All these three things, when combined together, they're really powerful, right? And also, I think learning to acquire empathic listening skills is it's vital, especially in this day and age. A lot of people, when say, for example, when say Hafiz, right? You come to me and you talk about your troubles, blah blah blah, and then all that people do, like, I mean, usually what people would do is they are very autobiographical. They don't listen to the content of what you're saying, and they don't reflect your emotions, right? So when it comes to empathic listening, all you have to just be there, be present, listen to them, listen intently. You don't listen to reply, right? You actually listen to understand, really, right? And this is a very important skill, and we need to impart this knowledge to the younger generations, our youths in particular. And I think teachers in general could, this could benefit them in several ways. I know, like, some teachers are very concerned about their students' well-being, but then they feel helpless at the same time. And that is effective empathy in action. Sometimes you feel helpless, you don't know what to do, right? But like I said, empathic listening is the way forward. I mean, you don't have to, like, agree with them, but then just understand where they're coming from. Do you understand what I'm saying? Just that understanding is very important.
Thank you, Jigazol. I think this is a very interesting discussion point that we can get into more in depth with. Chigo Ahmad, how about you? What do you think is an appropriate way of showing support? Over to you.
Basically, Zul, you have actually mentioned quite a lot in there. The word empathy is actually the key word. We are basically a large population of us is actually Muslim, yeah, and then our role is the Islamic teaching is always be there, for us to guide us. It's really complete. The only thing is that whatever empathy is there, compassionate is there, the Creator, Allah, has given us ears, eyes, nose for us to sense. And then, in other words, that they are given to us. It's not for free somehow, but for us to service. Okay, for us to service. That's why, as a Muslim, we always give service to others. By giving service to others, we say, and it can be in many forms. But as far as mental health is actually concerned, you can actually lend your ears, listen. By listening to the person who expressed their issues, is really helpful. It's a small thing you only hear, and don't be judgmental, because in Islam, it teaches us not to be judgmental on others. So it's already there. Everyone carries these kind of like attributes. The only thing now is that how can we use these attributes positively? Okay, positively. So this is where sometimes that people need to actually understand that we all have these qualities already in us. Allah give us this thing, and then it's up to us to explore, and then how can we give that out to others? Because even in Islamic teaching, that sedekah, if you cannot give it to, you don't have like wealth you can use, lend your hands, or these sort of things metaphorically is all there, but it's up to us to act it on, to act it on. And then it's up to us to reflect back. How can I actually help? If you cannot do this, I can help in other ways. So it's really important here. Empathy, compassion, and then your intention is important. Your intention is important because intention, people cannot see. It's only Allah can judge. So you have to purify your intention. So it's basically because this is kind of like two in one. If your intention to help, but the other second intention of helping is just to get names, well, you've got only one reward, which is helping that person. But for yourself, you don't get rewards. So the importance of intention here is that you need to purify, come clean, you help, and then seek forgiveness from Allah that will ensure your helping process runs smoothly. So this is the thing. But I know that intention is very deep meaning, and then is very, we cannot actually quantify intention. That is why when I look at some teachers, they're so stressed and then not, but they have to reflect muhasabah with the intention. Why I become a teacher in the first place? Am I being honest to myself that my patient is teaching? You have to reflect. I'm into this teaching profession because of the salary. You have to check your intention again, because at the end of the day, lots of people, they are so struggling or having issues. Is basically you need to see what is the real intention in there. Because if you're passionate about teaching, about your profession, your intention is to help others, lillahi ta'ala, no matter what, no matter issues, no matter challenges in front of you, your patient will override all these challenges. So this is why really important in there, okay? Well, we have our own kind of like book of guidance here. We need to actually be balanced, because basically sometimes life teaches us about how we deal things. Books give you concepts, methods, but it's up to you to use that, to apply that. It might be, it works with Zul with that kind of like methods. It might not work with me. Okay, so this is way for us to actually explore further. Books is only giving you points, and then how you develop it, how you mold it is up to you. And then, well, basically, it is all to do with intention. Okay, intention is the key there.
Thank you, Chigo Ahmad. You mentioned a very important statement there. It is our duty to serve others. Chiguzol, what do you think of this notion, our duty to serve others?
What do I think of this notion that it's our duty to serve others?
Serve others, yeah.
I think it's what the modern world is shaping us to be is to be egocentric. You only think about yourself, but not others. And this was mentioned in Stephen Covey's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Think about others first before you think about yourself, and then understand them first, and then only then you will understand yourself. So it's a very important thing to sort of instill inside of us, because we're meant to serve. I mean, first of all, we're supposed to serve Allah, right? He created people, and human beings are diverse in nature. There are people from different countries, from all walks of life, different races, different religion. But regardless, our intention, like Chigu Ahmad said, is to serve. And this is the purpose of life, I think, in general. If you serve people, I believe, if you serve people, you're serving Allah as well, with the right intention.
All right, thank you, Chiguzo. So we covered a very vast topic there about how to help others, how you yourself can seek help. Let's move on to a slightly more personal take on mental well-being, mental health. We have mentioned that talking about mental well-being struggles should be normalized, and it should be more than okay for you to confide in others or share your struggles with another person. For the both of you, gentlemen, have any of you ever experienced any challenges yourself, be it small or big, or know someone who has? Chiguzo, how about you first?
I'd be lying that if I say that, oh, I'm perfect, I'm not the perfect human being, okay? I'm still a work in progress. I started realizing this thing when I was 30 years old, if I remember correctly, right? And my whole perspective just, it completely changed. I questioned my intention, I questioned my life purpose, I questioned my values, who I was when I was in my 20s and who I am now. If I were to meet him again, I wouldn't know who he was, you know. Um, so yes, I had my own inner struggles, inner demons um, at work, or in my personal life. And if I were to put myself um, in that time frame, okay, if I were to put myself back in the past, I hated every moment that I was experiencing then because of my lack of understanding. And that all comes down to um, the understanding of myself. I did not understand who I was. Like all my life, I was always, I was being pulled to the right, to the left, front, back, center, up and down. I let people control me as opposed to, instead of me controlling myself. And how did I cope with it? Well, because of this, because of all this mess that I experienced, I found myself and I found, I guess, religion in a sense, right? I found God, and that's when I started becoming a lot more spiritual. And that's when I actually started performing my salah. I did my zikrullah, and I still do it until today. I'm 41 now. Mind you, it's been like what, 11 years, if I'm doing my calculation right. So yeah, I mean, like in the end, what matters most is your consistency. I mean, fine, like sometimes we slip and fall, but we have to be bold enough to pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off, and try again, right? I mean, this is the thing, right? Like when it comes to Islamic psychology, I remember reading this bit that our heart is volatile, it's central. So meaning that it keeps turning, our heart, and that is reflected in our motivation. Like there's certain days when you feel like, oh, I'm not motivated enough. But there are other days when you feel like, oh, I'm all psyched up, I'm all fired up. I want to do this, I want to do that. So I think it's understanding yourself in that sense, not just understanding your strengths, your weaknesses, or your potential, but it involves accepting your flaws and accepting that you are a human being, and it's okay to be not okay. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with that. And people, when they're so out of touch with themselves, they're scared to be alone. They look for, say, love or anything else, really, like outside of the confinement of their own body or their home, Um, and it's a very important lesson to learn, actually, to just gear yourself back to yourself. Your heart should be your compass. And just to echo what Chigu Ahmad was saying, to purify your intention is also to purify your heart. And this is like our, Islamic legacy, right? So that's my take on that question.
Chigu Ahmad, how about yourself? Have you
Yeah.
ever experienced anything yourself?
Well, I will be lying if I have not had experience in anything, struggle. I did, but struggles can be in all sort of things. Okay, the things that actually I had experience that have impacted on my mental health is actually when I experienced what you call this, a failed relationship. Everyone, because basically, honestly speaking, it's not kind of like a Romeo and Juliet kind of like story, but in real life, it will impact it on your mental health itself. So, well, this has challenged me quite a lot, and then it tested my inner kind of like strength, and then somehow I kind of like lost in a way, um, but Alhamdulillah, God's willing, um, as Zul was saying, that you go back to basics and then go back to your creator. So that's this way I go back and then use what people or all the talks people say that kind of like you try to reenact, and then whether um, is going to work with you or not, and then it really, yes, it did, and then somehow it will, you have like your thought processes somehow undergoing kind of like overhaul, um, of which before this you talk about, oh, okay, if I fail this one, I might not be able to do this for the rest of my life. If I fail this one, it affect my study, and then this I'll be becoming, all sort of like negative thoughts run in your head, especially. And then once you actually put a stop on it, and then this is not going to help me. If I feel sorry for myself all the time, if I'm actually seeking people to pity me, or I'm actually seeking get the attention of people, so, oh, people sympathize me. At the end of the day, it wouldn't help me to stand on my own. So I put a stop, go back to basics, and then get there. From there on, he said that, well, no matter what you fail is part of the test in life, because there is no bad experience but to teach you something. So, because basically issues being given to you is not just for the sake of you digest it, but you are being tested. If you go through it and overcome those tests, it becomes you more resilient, stronger, more positive, and your survival rate is much better. So this sort of like the um, the struggles, the challenges I had throughout my journey is actually taught me to become um, to be more better person. Meaning better person is that I'm keep still learning to improve, because there's no way that you keep on learning. I'll always keep to myself, telling myself that you don't be proud of yourself. You need to actually look into that. You be open, and then try to strive. You do the best as much as you do. because you can actually don't expect too much, 100%. Because if you're a perfectionist, for sure, if not able to achieve that one, confirm you have issues, and then you struggle with your own self because you want to achieve 100%. Go slowly, because myself is something that cannot be fixed overnight. It takes, well, it took me some time, to heal and then to learn myself to walk and then stand up again. And then, well, that's part of actually a journey of any individual, because some people, the journey might be, just like river, straightforward, but it's good to have like not a straightforward kind of like journey, because along the way you learn something, and that knowledge or learn skills will help you to become resilient and expected powers. So, well, Alhamdulillah. And then now that as you grow older, you will learn a lot from your past. But this past year, I'm so thankful that it gave me some kind of like, what you call, checklist, direction. Yeah, but I not live with my past though, but I live the now. Yeah, yes.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. I think before we go to the final question, I think it will be best for me to just summarize very quickly what we talked about today. I think we covered a vast array of topics. At the very start, we mentioned about the importance of striking balance. As Chiguzo said, being happy may not be enough, because happiness is very fragile. It goes in and out. And then, as Chigo Ahmad also mentioned, striking balance, being positive, being optimistic. And then the issue of talking about mental health, people think it's a small matter, but as Chigo Ahmad said, it's much more important than people think it is. And then Chiguzo also mentioned about how perspective matters a lot when it comes to talking about mental health, mental well-being, the wording you use, the choice of meaning that you give to certain words, being stressed as opposed to being pressured, challenged. Then we also talked about the importance of looking at the human as a whole, holistically, more than just the mental side. It's also equally important to take a look at the physical side, the emotional side. And we also touched on the importance of the spiritual side of humans as well. Brunei being a Muslim majority country, I think we can all share the same feelings and perspectives when it comes to how to take care of yourself spiritually. And then we talked about the importance of serving others, and then to ensure that you have the right intentions to help as well. Chiguzo also mentioned several important ways for you to show support, which is to listen empathetically, to be kind to one another, and then most importantly, to be compassionate. It's one of the few ways you can show care appropriately. And then we delved into the topic of religion, and then both Chiguzo and Chigo Ahmad has mentioned the importance of understanding yourself, being consistent, and then, as Chiguzo said, being bold to try again. I think that was very an important point to take. When you're down there struggling, sometimes you only have yourself to pick yourself up. And then Chigo Ahmad has also mentioned that when all else fails, you just have to simply go back to the basics. I think that was an important key advice for the listeners out there. Now, before we end today's very interesting episode. Can I go back to you two gentlemen to just give your final words to our listeners out there who hopefully will be mostly teachers, and then maybe just some final words to maybe those who may struggle with their own, as Chugazol said, demons. Chugazol, let's start with you first.
Okay, let's just summarize what I've been talking about with you guys this morning. I think self-management is key. Okay, from self-management, you are able to develop self-awareness. Now, before you develop awareness about others, you have to develop awareness about yourself first. Because in this modern world, we are so much, our focus is on other people, too much on other people, but not on ourselves, right? And as mentioned earlier, we need to develop ourselves cognitively or emotionally, in terms of our physiology and spiritually. It's also very important for us to, like, in terms of the cognitive dimension, positive thinking is very important, being optimistic or reasonably positive. We can't be positive all the time. I mean, it's a given, right? Because we've got this negative bias, and we need to understand our thought patterns, especially the negative thought patterns. Listen to how we explain things in our heads. And we need to keep our peace, and we need to learn to ignore what other people think about us, because that's counterproductive. It's part of our culture where people are busybody, they care too much about other people, they become panibok, right? And it's not their business. I mean, those are just opinions. Opinions are not facts, right? So you need to learn to separate facts and opinion, and of course, the ultimate truth, right? And we have to be hopeful. We need to be grateful as well. And we need to learn to forgive ourselves and others in the process. Although that takes time, but you have to, before you go to sleep, especially, just forgive anybody who hurt you. Emotionally, I think we can capitalize on emotional intelligence. We need to learn how to recognize, understand, label, express and regulate our emotions, because a lot of times emotions drive our thoughts and behavior, right? And how we interact with other people. Physiologically, we need to take care of what we eat. Nutrition is very important, dieting. Dieting is not eating at all. It's about eating right, in the right portion, having the right nutrition in your system. And I think being interceptive is also very, very important. Listening to your body, the muscles, like especially when you're stressed, right? This part of your body, your shoulders are tense, your breathing is quite shallow, your heart is like beating really fast. So you need to understand what's going on in your body, right? Quality sleep is very important. But if you reflect on the life of Prophet Muhammad, right, he didn't sleep much. But then my guess is that his sleep was quality sleep, right? So we need to sort of work on that. 6 hours is enough, I think. 6 hours of quality sleep. Exercise is very, very important. And I'm so happy to see like a lot of Bruneians who are health conscious these days. I've been doing cardio a lot, for the past couple of months. And this is what I noticed. A lot of people, they just flock down to Bandar Seri Begawan and they jog and they walk, and such a nice, it's a pleasant sight, And of course, your spiritual side, being a Muslim myself, like you guys are Muslims as well. Your obligations as a Muslim, your prayers, your salat, don't forget to dua, right? That is I remember my mom saying, dua itu senjata. That's what she said. And I always believe in that. Zikrullah, this is what, I mean, on a personal note, I practice this every single day, especially on my way to work. I would, instead of listening to music, I fill my heart with zikrullah. Fasting is very it's underrated because it has this I don't know how to put it into like into perspective, but it cleanses you spiritually. It tames your desires. You know, your weight is like you can maintain your weight. It cleanses your heart, really, fasting. If you think about it, it makes you sharp here as well. And of course, reciting Quran. Just to share with you, this is what I do. Like every day after my subuh prayer, I would read just one page of Quran, and then read the tafsir. That just gives me light. And of course, not being afraid to give, as in sadaqah. I mean, you don't have to tell the whole world that you sadaqah somebody, right? But these are some things that you can do to ensure that you are balanced as a human being, right? And of course, like I said, I'm still a work in progress. Let's continue doing this until the day when we are 7 feet under.
All right, thank you, Chuguzol. Ahmad, your final words?
Okay, my final words to all teachers, to all colleagues. Thank you for being so awesome all these years. Keep on contributing to you are the assets of the nation, of the country. You are the assets, especially to those teachers, wherever you are in Brunei. You are, I think, beyond imaginables, your contributions to Brunei, especially to our younger generations. That's so priceless. So look after yourself. And then if I can actually quote Liverpool team, you never walk alone. There's always somebody out there willing to help you. And then please lower your try to get off your ego, lower it down, stay humble and be kind. And nothing else matters but your mental health matters. At the end of the day, you being a human being, for sure, definitely, you will be all right. If you're okay, I'm okay, everyone okay, the world become okay. And instill in yourself, let the challenge be out there, but you as opportunist to turn it around to become positive. I know you can do it, just like Nike says, you can do it. So everyone can do it, okay? So let's hope that all teachers, if you have issues, well, you know how to call, you know where to call Talian Sejahtera and then connect with us. Unit Kesejahteraan Pembina Sekolah and Tenaga Pengajar, we'll always be there for you. And then let's get connected.
All right, thank you for ending the show with my script set. I think it has been a very fruitful 1 hour. Well, time flies really fast when you're having a very fruitful discussion. Okay, I think that is all. We'll hope to get Chiguzol again on another episode one day. It seems like he knows more than he has shared. Very intelligent man. And then until then, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.